Most men walk into relationships thinking they're being loved, but they're not. They're being cast, not as themselves, but as a character in someone else's private screenplay. She doesn't fall for you. She falls for who she thinks you could become, for a role you didn't audition for, a script you never read, a fantasy she's been refining long before you even met. And the moment you break character, when you stop playing the part she wrote for you, the applause fades. The affection cools. Not because you changed, but because you stopped acting. This isn't new. It hasn't been played out on battlefields or boardrooms. It's played out in bedrooms, in texts, in subtle expectations and invisible pressure, in the unspoken demand to perform, to please, to adapt. And here's the truth, brutal but freeing. It's not her fault if you volunteered to be someone else. You chose the mask. You chose the pedestal. You chose the performance. But you can also choose to stop. This script is about how to break free from that game, how to see through the fog of projection, and how to reclaim your identity not in rebellion, but with calm, ruthless clarity. If you stay until the end, you'll leave with something most men will never have, a lens that protects your peace, your mind, and your sense of self. Let's begin. How to tell if she's falling for you or the image she made. Most men get hurt, not because they were betrayed, but because they misunderstood what was real. When a woman shows interest, you think, she sees me. But that's rarely the case. She sees potential, a canvas, someone she can shape, fill in, adjust. In the beginning, it feels electric. She's enthusiastic, affectionate, obsessed. You assume she must love you, but what's actually happening is this. She's in love with the version of you she imagines, the version that completes her story, the version that matches her dream, not your truth. And the longer you play along, the deeper the illusion becomes. Not for her, for you. You lose track of where the performance ends and where your real self begins. This isn't malicious. It's psychological. We all project. We all create stories. But when you build a relationship on that projection, you build it on sand. So what can you do? When you feel that pedestal rising, slow down. Don't get flattered. Don't try to live up to her image. Don't rush to be her perfect man. Ask questions that bring her back to earth. That test for reality, not fantasy. What do you believe makes a relationship really last? Have you ever realized you misjudged someone? What version of me do you think you're seeing right now? These aren't challenges. They're invitations. They force clarity. Because if she can't love you in clarity, she doesn't love you at all. Stop being her emotional support system, be your own first. This is the trap, thinking that being needed is the same as being loved. At first, it feels good. She's stressed, you help. She's upset, you soothe. She's spiraling, you bring her back. You feel like a hero, like a man with purpose. But here's the danger. Every time you become her emotional crutch, you lose a little bit of your own balance. You start making her feelings your job. You stop living for yourself and start living to regulate her inner world. And before long, your peace becomes negotiable. You're blamed when she's upset, guilt-tripped when you need space, shamed for having boundaries. It doesn't feel like control, but it is. Soft control. Emotional puppeteering. Here's how to break it. Start with the little things. Say no. Not with anger, but with clarity. No, I can't talk right now. I need to finish something. No, that's not my responsibility. No, I'm not okay with that tone. Every boundary you enforce is a reminder. My peace is not up for grabs. You're not rejecting her, you're reclaiming yourself. And here's the irony. The moment you stop bending over backwards, the dynamic shifts. She may resist at first, but long-term, she'll respect you more. Because a man who can say no without guilt is a man who owns his time, energy, and mind. And those men, they can't be controlled, only respected. Validation is a drug stop needing the hit. Here's the addiction no one talks about: approval. You've been trained to perform for it since childhood. At school, be a good boy. At work, be a team player. In dating, be charming, agreeable, low maintenance. Everywhere you turn, the message is the same: please others to be picked. And here's the truth almost no one admits: a woman can be obsessed with how you make her feel and still have no idea who you really are. She might love your attention, your energy, your support, but not you. And the moment you stop supplying those feelings, the affection disappears. Weak men chase those feelings. They adjust, apologize, compromise, anything to stay in her good graces. But strong men, they don't chase feelings. They seek truth. So the next time you feel the urge to win her over, stop. Take 10 seconds. Ask yourself, is she valuing me or just the way I make her feel? Be honest. If she's clinging to the emotional high and not the man behind it, disengage. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just withdraw your energy. Because the only thing more powerful than being liked is being respected. And respect begins where performance ends. You were not born to play a role, you were born to be a force. This is the most invisible trap: performing a role you never chose. You think you're choosing her, but really you're being chosen for a role. The fixer, the protector, the ideal boyfriend. You don't see it right away. But little by little, you begin to mold yourself to fit what she needs. You smile when you don't feel like smiling. You agree when you actually disagree. You play peacekeeper to avoid being difficult. But here's the cost: every time you shrink to fit, you betray your real self. Not with a scream, but with a whisper. So how do you escape? Clarity. Before you take on emotional responsibility, ask sharp questions. What do you actually expect from me? What kind of partner are you looking for? What would disappoint you about me? If she avoids the question, pay attention. If she gives vague answers, take a step back. Because unclear expectations always lead to unspoken obligations. And a man who defines himself can't be manipulated by someone else's script. Trying to please her will kill attraction faster than you think. Most men make the same mistake over and over. They believe that pleasing her will keep her interested. But the more you adjust to avoid her disapproval, the faster she loses respect. Here's why. Women aren't drawn to men who bend, they're drawn to men who stand. A man who stays rooted in what he believes, who doesn't shift just to be liked, who can disagree without becoming defensive. Every time you try to be the perfect guy, you lose a piece of your edge. You become safe, predictable, bland. Desire needs tension. Attraction feeds on polarity. So here's your new move. Next time she tests you with a question designed to corner you, don't flinch. Answer truthfully, not to please, but to express who you are. Even a simple, "That's not how I see it, but I get where you're coming from," is enough. It shows strength. It shows groundedness. And more importantly, it shows that your identity is not for sale. Stop being the nice guy. Be the man who can't be moved. There's a difference between being kind and being compliant. Nice guys think being agreeable equals being loved. So they nod. They apologize. They never push back. But here's the problem. A man who avoids conflict to keep the peace will eventually drown in resentment. He doesn't have opinions, he has reactions. He doesn't have boundaries, he has strategies to avoid being abandoned. But that's not masculinity. That's fear in disguise. You want to be respected? Stop nodding when you disagree. Stop saying yes when your body says no. Stop pretending just to be liked. That's not coldness. That's integrity. It's not about being a rebel. It's about being real. Take 1 hour this week. No phone. No distractions. Just you and silence. Ask yourself, who am I without praise? What do I stand for if no one's watching? Where have I been performing instead of living? Because the man who finds the answers to those questions becomes immovable. And an immovable man, he doesn't need to be chosen. He becomes the one who chooses. Closing message. If you've made it this far, you're already doing what most men never will. You're choosing reality over illusion. You're stepping out of the spotlight of someone else's fantasy and into the quiet, relentless power of your own truth. Most will never get here. Most will keep performing, smiling, pleasing, shrinking, not because they're weak, but because they're scared. But not you. You're building something else, something rare. You're not here to be picked. You're here to pick, not from bitterness, from alignment, from clarity, from a place of knowing who you are, with or without the applause. From this moment on, you stop trying to earn respect by being agreeable. You earn it by being grounded. And when you do that, the right people, the rare ones, will begin to rise to meet you, because energy like that doesn't chase. It attracts. And in a world of noise and desperation, a man who moves in silence and strength, he doesn't just get noticed. He gets remembered. So take your power back. Not with noise, not with anger, but with calm, relentless self-respect. Go not to be chosen, but to be whole. Most men believe they are cherished for who they truly are. In reality, they are often cast into roles within someone else's narrative. She doesn't fall for you. She falls for the version of you that aligns with her ideal. The moment you deviate from that script, the affection wanes not because you've changed, but because you've ceased to fulfill the role she envisioned. This phenomenon isn't new. It's been unfolding for centuries, not on battlefields, but in bedrooms, not through overt commands, but through subtle expectations and projections. The harsh truth is, it's not her fault if you willingly step into the role of the fool. Understanding this dynamic requires a deep dive into the philosophy of self-identity and authenticity. Philosophers have long debated the nature of the self and the importance of living authentically. To be authentic is to be clear about one's own most basic feelings, desires, and convictions, and to openly express one's stance in the public arena. Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. In the context of relationships, this means resisting the urge to conform to another's expectations and instead embracing your true self. It's about recognizing when you're being valued for who you are versus the feelings you provide. This distinction is crucial in maintaining self-respect and emotional independence. Trust mental health. Self-respect encompasses both a more objective perspective on or stance toward oneself and the more intimate experience of living with oneself. It's about understanding your worth and not allowing external validation to dictate your self-perception. Uvic.ca. To protect yourself, it's essential to remain grounded when someone places you on a pedestal. Instead of rushing to meet their expectations, engage in conversations that reveal your authentic self. Ask questions like, what do you think makes a relationship truly last? Or have you ever realized you were wrong about someone? What did you learn? These inquiries encourage genuine connection and bring both parties back to reality. Moreover, it's vital to build your own emotional independence. Many men fall into the trap of equating being needed with being loved. They become emotional crutches, always available to fix problems, provide support, and manage emotions. While this may feel fulfilling initially, it can lead to dependency and a loss of self. Breaking free from this cycle involves setting boundaries and saying no to unnecessary demands. By doing so calmly and without anger, you reinforce your self-respect and remind both yourself and others that your peace is not for sale. Validation is another trap that many fall into. Seeking constant approval and adjusting behavior to please others can erode your sense of self. Instead, focus on authenticity and self-awareness. Reflect on whether someone values you for who you are or merely for the feelings you provide. If it's the latter, it's time to disengage and redirect your energy toward your own growth and mission. Avoid playing roles you never chose. Often, individuals find themselves conforming to expectations and fitting into roles that don't align with their true selves. This can lead to a gradual loss of identity. To maintain control, Ask clear questions about expectations and roles in relationships. If the answers are vague or avoidant, consider stepping back. Trying to please others constantly can diminish attraction. Authenticity and steadfastness are more appealing than adaptability. By staying true to your beliefs and expressing your thoughts honestly, you maintain your sovereignty and become more attractive. Escape the nice guy trap by confronting yourself and understanding who you are without external validation. This journey may be challenging and lonely, but it's essential for building an identity that doesn't rely on others' approval. Spend time in self-reflection, asking questions like, who am I without applause? And what do I value if no one is watching? By choosing truth over distraction and aligning with your authentic self, you differentiate yourself from those who seek constant validation. You become the one who chooses, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity and alignment with your true self. In conclusion, embracing authenticity, setting boundaries, and maintaining self-respect are crucial in relationships and personal growth. By doing so, you not only protect your peace and power, but also pave the way for genuine connections and a fulfilling life.